So the U.S. has been doing some drone strikes over on boats that are leaving Venezuela, right? They have boats that are in the, I believe it's the Pacific, and they're seeing these boats. They're small boats. It's been reported that they can't go more than about 100 miles without refueling. But the Trump administration has taken it upon themselves to do drone strikes on these boats. As of right now, they've murdered about 57 people in all of the drone strikes that they've done. Let's go over to the Associated Press. Let's look at this reporting, get the full context, and talk about this because honestly, this is crazy. We can't have a situation where we have no evidence, no sort of arrest warrants, no sort of like case against these people. We say one thing, we bomb them, and then there's no consequences for it. Internationally, at least, there has to be consequences for it. President Trump and Pete Hegseth, they're continuing to do stuff and escalate the situation with the military. And at some point, it becomes too much. This is too much. They said this is the Department of War. It's not the Department of Defense. So we're proactively going after these folks over in Venezuela that are in the Pacific that we're saying they're carrying drugs on their small boats without any evidence, without any trials. And quite frankly, it's unacceptable. It says the U.S. launches strikes on 4 alleged drug running boats in the Eastern Pacific, killing 14 people. Those were multiple strikes within a day. They've been doing a couple of strikes. They've been doing about a strike every week or every other week since the beginning of September. So this is the first time that they did multiple strikes in a day. They ended up killing 14 people. It says Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced Tuesday that the U.S. military had carried out strikes in the Eastern Pacific Ocean on 4 boats accused of carrying drugs, killing 14 and leaving 1 survivor in the deadliest single day since the Trump administration began its divisive campaign against drug trafficking in the waters off South America. So right here, it talks about how they had 1 survivor. This survivor ended up being turned over back to the South American authorities, right? My question is, if we can capture somebody or we can leave them stranded, they get turned over to the authorities. Why can't we do that before doing drone strikes on them? Why do we have to wait until the situation has escalated to the point where we're murdering people and then say, oh, well, if anybody survives, then they'll have their day in court? They're supposed to have their day in court before we do that, unless they're posing an imminent threat, right? What happened to the rules of engagement, rules of use of force? Does that not apply when you're in international waters? Do we just start blowing people up and then we explain it after? I thought we make a case for why we're doing something and then we go do it. Everything is backwards because the Trump administration, they love brutality. They don't love to follow the law of the land. They don't care about doing the right thing. They'll do whatever it is that they want to do first, and then they'll make it legal after. Hey, we just blew up 14 people. Find a way to make this legal and put a spin on it. Oh, they were trafficking drugs that were about to come to the United States, even though it's been reported by multiple outlets that their boats were too small to actually make it to Florida or wherever they would have landed. Doesn't make sense. It says it was the first time multiple strikes were announced in a single day as the pace of the attacks has escalated. The nearly 2-month campaign and the U.S. military buildup have strained ties with allies in the region and open speculation that the moves are aimed at ousting Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, whom the U.S. has accused of narco-terrorism. A statement, who cares? Before we continue, who cares? If he's part of narco-terrorism in his country and that's what's going on, let them meddle in their own affairs. That's none of our business. We have people that were begging for SNAP benefits. We have people that are not being paid in the military, or they were not going to get paid until we started shuffling the money around illegally from the military's research and development fund. Why are we in Venezuela meddling in their business because they traffic some drugs? Don't we have Customs and Border Patrol? Don't we have people that look into this as the drugs are reaching the American shores? Why are we going out and preemptively bombing people, killing them, instead of worrying about the problems that we have here? which are plentiful. We're starting this sort of like war on drugs all over again, which was a disastrous failure the first time. We fought the war on drugs for like 40 years, 35, 40 years. Since the Reagan era, we lost. You're not going to stop people from doing drugs. And quite frankly, if I'm being honest with you, I don't think that we need the government to tell us what it is that we can and can't do. Do I think that people should use? No, absolutely not. I think it's a danger. It's a danger to your body. It's a danger to your health, and you could become a danger to others. But we already have laws preventing people from harming other people, right? So I don't think that people should use, but I also don't think it's the government's responsibility to tell you what you can and cannot put into your body, what you can and cannot take out of your body, right? It's not the government's authority, at least in my book. And we should not be over in Venezuela taking out boats because we're accusing them of having drugs, but the drugs are not being captured. The people are not being seized. The people are not being made to stand a trial. We're just saying, hey, you did this. No evidence. We're going to blow you up, and then we'll make a statement about it later. P. Hexeth is literally showing videos on his Twitter of these incidents where we're doing these drone strikes. He's broadcasting this to the American public. They're proud of what they've been able to accomplish. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed of the fact that you're doing this stuff with no evidence, no people are being captured, no people are being charged. You don't even know where the drugs are coming from. You're just seeing a boat in the middle of the ocean. If you have a boat in the middle of the ocean, those guys are runners. Do you think that they're on the shores or wherever they are producing those drugs? Absolutely not. They have different levels and different people that are carrying out this operation. So yeah, you got a couple of runners. They're going to get more runners. If you really had an intention to stop what was happening, you would go to the source. But I would argue it's not even our business. If it lands on the American shores, we have Customs and Border Patrol in order to negate narcotics coming into our country. But just because you don't like the president or the leader of another country, you're saying, oh, well, we'll do away with you and we'll find a reason to blame it on you while it's your fault that we had to come after you because we're the Department of War. We're not defending ourselves anymore. That was P. Hexeth's whole spiel when he came to Quantico and gave the speech, this pep rally to 800 generals, admirals, and senior enlisted leaders. We're going after people. We're preemptively striking. We are the Department of War. We're bringing brutality to people's front door. And I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. Anyway, let's get back to this statement. A statement provided by the Pentagon official who spoke on the condition of anonymity to freely discuss the operation said the strikes were conducted Monday off the coast of Colombia. Colombia has I believe cocaine comes from Colombia. So if we can go strike Venezuela for, fentanyl or whatever we're saying that they're bringing in, why aren't we also going to war with Colombia? Do they not have drugs that reach the U.S.? Something's fishy here. I'm not saying what. I don't know the answer to it. I don't have all of the information, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Following one attack on a boat, the military spotted a person in the water clinging to some wreckage. The military passed the survivor's precise location to the U.S. Coast Guard and a Mexican military aircraft that was operating in the area. However, the Mexican Navy said it is searching about 400 miles southwest of the Pacific of, I'm not sure what that is, ACAPULCO, suggesting the possibility that the strike may have taken place far away from Colombia and closer to Mexico's coast. It wasn't immediately clear exactly where the strike took place, and the Pentagon did not give more details. This is a problem. These guys don't even know what it is that they're striking. These guys don't have any clue. They said, hey, we hit somebody over here, gave them the locations, and they're like, we checked this out. There's nobody here. Oh, well, maybe try over there. What is it that we're doing here? Why is it that we're doing it? What is the actual intention? I've heard a little bit, and like I said, I'm not an expert on this subject. I'm not an expert on any subject. I'm just a guy reading and trying to learn about what's going on in the world. But I did read that there are oil reserves over in Venezuela. We're trying to get somebody in there that's more favorable to the government, that's going to help us get some deals, right? start selling Venezuela's oil to us. So once again, we're chasing our tails, just like they said, oh, well, we're in the Middle East because of weapons of mass destruction. We went over there, didn't find any weapons of mass destructions weapons of mass destruction, and there were ulterior motives. We've got to stop this shit. How about we fix the problems that are going on with Americans, because there are plenty. You look at China, they have all this infrastructure, all of these railways and all of this these scientific advancements that we're making. And we're over here talking about defunding NASA, defunding cancer research. People can't get emergency SNAP benefits. These are the problems that America should be tackling and should be facing. Instead, we're looking to other countries and telling them what it is that they should and shouldn't do.